We have with us Mr. Rajeev Dimri, the co-chairman of the Tax Committee of FICCI. Sir, no strong statement on GST or DTC. How would you rate the budget presented by Mr. Arun Jaitley today?
Well, on those two fronts, DTC, at least in my mind, there was not much expectation from this government because it was the initiative of the last government. So the statement that has come on DTC is, we will look at it, and therefore it has not been killed. On GST, I think the run-up to the budget was creating an expectation that a lot more forceful statement or more committed statement will come out. So while there was a statement, but it wasn't, I guess, committed enough about what is likely to happen. But to be fair, in hindsight, a union government cannot really commit on GST because it is to happen with a collaborative effort of all state governments, and therefore it is a difficult one. But by making a positive statement, at least it has been put on the agenda of the finance minister that he will do something and work towards it. But yes, you're right, the statement was not as committal as it was expected to be.
Sir, your take on the indirect tax exits ambit and how the minister has dealt with it?
I mean, at least whatever I've heard in the speech, a lot of details do come out in the fine print, and I have not had a chance to look at that yet. I will do that later today. But just going by the speech, there was nothing major. There's no real policy being implemented. It is more a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and therefore I would be tempted to use the word a lot of tinkering. Maybe some of that is towards rationalization. For instance, this whole coal issue of this category coal or that category coal, whether it is steam coal or bituminous coal, has been a subject matter of intense debate in litigation running into hundreds of crores. So some of those are good rationalization measures, but they are not reflective of new thinking or a new policy. They are more tinkering to fix a little bit here and a little bit there. But that's just based on what I've heard in the speech. Maybe when we look at the fine print, some more details will come out. But just on what I've heard in the speech, it's a lot of little steps, but no directional and no fundamentally new idea.
For the manufacturing sector, do you think increasing customs duty on various manufacturing products, it will impact the industry, or do you think it can be managed even without that kind of a thing?
Well, some of those statements were made in the context of electronic items where even few percentage point margins make a big difference. And therefore, if there are some initiative done to promote color picture tube, color televisions, not the LED style, for the rural market. Now, one can debate whether we should encourage an old technology or not, but I mean, those choices apart, some of those few percentage point difference do make a big difference because particularly in electronic industry, the margins are wafer thin, and therefore few percentage points do make a difference.
On also the manufacturing front, cigarettes will be seeing higher duty. Do you think it will impact the sector, or they can manage with that as well?
I mean, cigarette and aerated beverages have been a very sort of favorite hunting ground for successive finance ministers, and therefore to that extent, it's not a surprise. But I just heard in the speech that the ranges were between 5 and 72%. That range certainly surprised me. I will go back and have a look at what exactly, because 72% hike is very, very high. So I don't know the details of that. But the fact that we're talking about that kind of range, that was surprising to me. The fact that cigarettes and aerated beverages have been targeted yet another time, and they are the only ones that have been targeted, it's something that we have seen so many times before. I'm not really for it or against it, but the fact that it's in some cases a 72% increase, I would be very curious to see what that is, because that seems very high.
The finance minister has tried to stick to the target of 4.1% as a challenge, but ideally he would be just trying to follow his own target of 4.5% on fiscal deficit front. Do you think that the minister could have done better than that? Because he actually has given up on the 4.1% target given by Mr. P.J. Damram, the finance minister of previous UP government.
Well, and I think there was a reference to this in the speech as well, that it's not just looking at 4.1 or 4.5 for this coming year, but also the successive years. So if you are talking about a gradual reduction, to be able to continuously work at reducing the gap, I think that's a big task in itself. And to then say, should it have gone for more than 4.1% or less than 4.1, because this year will go by very quickly. We are already in middle of July. So to say that should he have targeted even more than this or even more aggressive targets, I think that would be highly unreal. It We do have to create a better economic development where the growth rates are higher. Maybe then one can think of exceeding the target. But in an environment where we are looking at less than adequate monsoon, and he referred to some of those factors. We're looking at our exchange rates being where they are. So looking at the environment in which we are, to say we will even beat a 4.1 target, I think that would be highly unreal.
The revenue foregone has been about 22,000 crore. This is
For
what
direct tax.
for direct taxes. What is your take on that?
Well, some of it is directly based on reducing. Somewhere I was reading some estimates that increasing the exemption limit from 2 lakhs to 5 lakhs will result in 60,000 crores of revenue loss. And while I can't process that in terms of what exactly, it seems very high to me. The combination of factors are not just in personal income tax but other corporate income taxes. I think that 20,000 crore is highly broad based. It's not just limited to exemption limit or PPF or other things. It is combination of corporate and personal taxes which is giving this 20,000. And I think it is broad based. It's not just targeted to one segment of taxpayer. And I think perhaps that's a better way to do it, that you spread the relief across the entire taxpaying community rather than focus on one particular segment, which would have become very populist.